Hello, everybody. It's 12 p.m. Now we will be starting our webinar session. Basically, it's the webinar with the HR professionals, which is titled as Preparing the Youth for a Transforming Job Market. It's the season 2 of this session. And I'm Prantur alongside with Sanjita Shahabuddin, Tasnim Haidar Khan, and Rinki Das from Brac University Office of Career Services and Alumni Relations, which is OCSAR. And we do have our 3 speakers of today's. Jawaad Bhai from Novo Nordisk, Ayesha Saeed from Banglalink, and Sweety from Pathao. Ayesha. So welcoming you all. You'll be introduced by our moderator after a few while, who is Sadmina Marin Promi from Brac University. She is just currently working as a teaching assistant. So she'll be moderating the later half of this session. So I would like to request you all, the participants, to get your mic and video off, switching off. Okay. So Sadmina, you will be just starting the session from now on. The stage is yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So, ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon. This is Sadmina, teaching assistant at Brac Business School. So, in continuation with this series of webinar with HR professionals, we welcome you all to the second season of Preparing the Youth for a Transforming Job Market. Today, we have with us 3 of the most prominent HR leaders from Bangladesh who will share their perspective on the transformation of job markets. And it is our pleasure to introduce you to Ms. Ayesha Saeed, Head of Talent Management, Human Resources at Administration of Banglalink Digital Communications Limited, Ms. H.A. Sweety, Head of HR and Culture of Pathao Limited, and Mr. Jawaad bin Hamid, Director, People and Organization of Novo Nordisk, Bangladesh. So first and foremost, we would like to extend our sincere gratitude to our panelists, our students, for your valuable time, and Office of Career Services and Alumni Relations, OCSAR, for arranging such a timely session that aims to address the future of work after the global pandemic. So we all have seen how the pandemic has pushed companies and consumers to adapt to new behaviors that are likely to stick and changing the trajectory of trends. And hence, the objective of today's webinar is to put some light on those changes and give the young minds an opportunity to understand the transition and cope better with the evolving job landscape. So students, this is a brilliant opportunity for you to connect with the HR professionals, share your queries, and clear out all the confusions that you have. So you can share your questions in the chat box, and we will try to answer as many as possible within the allocated time. And I'm quite sure that by now you have all mastered the webinar etiquettes. However, these are some of the house rules that you will need to remember. Firstly, please turn off your microphone and camera during the webinar unless you're asked to respond. If you face any network issues, you can rejoin at any time. So whenever you're rejoining, please be sure you're on mute. Secondly, if you have any questions, please share your questions with us in the chat box and we will address it accordingly. So to get the best out of this webinar, we have designed 4 discussion points on different aspects of the processes and structures will be highlighted there. So we will be introducing each and every point as we proceed. So to begin with, the first discussion point of this afternoon is required skill set, soft skills that employers value the most. An age-old question, and it keeps on evolving with time. So for this question, I would like to invite Ms. Ayesha Saeed to share her perspective on this question. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Promi. So, well, I go first, so I guess I get some added advantage here. Anyway, so soft skills per se, you see, some things are already taken for granted nowadays, right? That, you know, when youth come for interviews, young talents, it's only natural that, you know, being a graduate from renowned universities and with the background that they will definitely have very good communication skills, right? So those things are now, I think, it's just taken for granted. But some of the things I think as young graduates that you should look out for is sometimes we see that, you know, as a job seeker, you're probably applying for multiple jobs, right? And then, but you don't really do your homework because, for example, you know, when we talk about Banglalink, definitely we would want a future candidate to know about our company, right? What we as a company, what we stand for. So I think I would answer in a different perspective rather than soft skills. I would say that what is really required nowadays is for you to understand the company that you're applying to and what those companies really stand for. What are their values? What is the purpose of that organization? And what are the traits that you have that you can offer to that particular organization? For example, in Banglalink, we have 5 values, right? So most of our recruitment processes are, we try to check the acumen of the people who apply to Banglalink based on those particular values. Most of our questions, our assessment centers, everything is around that. So be it if you come in even in a focus group discussion, or if you're, in some kind of a presentation, or, if you're sitting with the senior management, as a fresher, definitely we don't expect you to have experience, but for sure, we would want to check the kind of behaviors that you would be demonstrating in the future, right? And that has to have a correlationship with the kind of values that we as an organization strive for. So I think in general, rather than focusing on generic, leadership skill sets or traits, I think for a job seeker such as yourself, it would probably add value if you do that bit of a homework to whichever particular organization you're applying for, and see to what extent you could, kind of match your aspirations and your mindsets to that organization you're applying for. I hope that answers the question.
Absolutely, Miss. Thank you so much for sharing your perspective. So with this same question of what soft skills employers value the most, I'd like to go to Sweety Miss to share her thoughts on the question.
Thank you, Prome. So absolutely, I do agree with Ayesha that some soft skills are taken for granted. But I would answer it a bit differently. I think we can segregate the set of soft skills in 2 parts, right? One is generic, like that's needed for all kinds of jobs, and some soft skills are needed for some specific type of jobs, right? It depends on the nature of job, right? So যদি আমি generic soft skills এর কথা বলি, I think communication, adaptability for the freshers, right? Teamwork, empathy, এগুলো must, যেগুলো জবের জন্য। For me, particularly, it actually depend করে কার সাথে আমরা কাজ করব, কোন টিমে কাজ করব, right? For me, I really look for work ethic. Productivity is really important for me. Attention to detail, and the speed of work. So, আর আমি যদি জব স্পেসিফিক সফট স্কিলের কথা বলি, কাস্টমার এক্সপিরিয়েন্স এর যদি কেউ কাজ করতে চায়, তাহলে কমিউনিকেশন, লিসনিং স্কিলস, সেলফ কন্ট্রোল, অ্যাসার্টিভনেস, প্রবলেম সলভিং স্কিলস, এগুলো খুব ইম্পর্টেন্ট। সেলস এর জন্য আবার ডিফারেন্ট টাইপের কমিউনিকেশন স্কিল লাগে, রাইট? Then of course negotiation skills. Designer জন্য of course creativity is must, visual communication, verbal communication, and engineering, because আমি IT কোম্পানিতে আছি, right? Engineering এর জন্য of course patience দরকার হয়, অনেক open minded লাগে, creativity ও লাগে, and of course time management is very important. So yeah, I think that addresses your question.
Great insights. Thank you so much, Miss. So coming to Jawaad, sir, what are your thoughts on the question that which soft skills employers value the most?
All right. Let me introduce you to a concept that I think most of you might have heard already. It's called the T model. It's popularized by a company called Valve. If you are a gamer, you know what that company is. And it's also one of the most profitable companies in the world. So as a reference point, right? So they popularized it. It's been around for a while, but I think it's picking up space in the management consultant space, which is that you have the top part of the T, which are skills that are transferable across any industry, across any job. And I think that's what I think the focus of the question is. And of course, the bottom part of the T is functional competencies, which you gain as you work in a role or a function specific. So let's focus on the top bit, which is things that you can transfer across any job, which is the ability to communicate, write, which means write well, comprehend information well, and also get things done. And that sort of, if you translate that into in the workplace, it's really being a good colleague, someone others want to work with, and you also get your part done, right? Being someone who others want to work with also mean that not only are you a pleasant person, but also you also take care of the things you are responsible for. So as someone who's entering the workforce, I think it's very simple. I know these are not things that necessarily you tend to pick up immediately before joining the workplace. This is something you can build as you join as well. But really, the ability to understand if someone's telling you something, what does that mean? What are they asking for? So that means being a good listener and also then translating into what output do we need to get out of this. Being able to read and write well is such an underrated skill. I say that is because what you say, how you say it, really makes the difference between getting the job done in 5 minutes and getting the job done in in an hour, right? Like I said, it's a skill that can be easily acquired. Definitely age and experience helps, but you putting in a bit of effort before coming into the workplace will definitely make you stand out as someone who's, say, trying to get a job in one of the more, say, noteworthy organizations in the country. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, absolutely. I think we're off to a brilliant start where students will get to know how all these soft skills and all the requirements, putting an effort into the workplace actually makes a lot of difference. So students, as you have heard from 3 of our speakers, some of the most important aspects of soft skills. So if you have any question, you can definitely ask in the chat box and we will address it. So let's move on to our second discussion point, which is reality check. What are the common lackings do employers find among the fresh graduates? So the floor is open to any of you if you want to start the second discussion point. So I think
I'll take the first mover advantage then. Reality check, right? So I think common lacking jeta amra usually get from getting in the fresher or entry level candidates is adaptability, jeta ami amar age question bolche, right? So it's very normal je first job e shobai ekটু nervous থাকে, cope up করতে একটু problem হয়। For me, আমি যখন আমার যেটা ফার্স্ট জব ছিল, আমার যে সবচেয়ে বড় স্ট্রাগল ছিল to be stuck in a place from 9 to 5 or 6, right? And of course, team adjust করাটা, cope up করাটা। So I think it's all about attitude, positivity, যেটা আমি বলবো না lacking, বাট এটা আসলে খুবই ন্যাচারাল, যেটা যারা ফার্স্ট কোনো জবে জয়েন করে এটা থাকে না। প্লাস কিছু জায়গায় মনে হয় যে ফ্রেশ গ্রাজুয়েট যারা আছে তারা অত ওয়েল প্রিপেয়ার্ড থাকে না, যেটা তারা আগে থেকে করতে পারে। কোনো জবে জয়েন করার আগে কিছু স্কিল কিন্তু আমরা ডেভেলপ করতে পারি। ফর এক্সাম্পল ডেটা স্কিল, আমি একটু এক্সেলে আমার এক্সপার্টিস বাড়াতে পারি, রাইট? কমিউনিকেশন স্কিল, I can take up trainings, অথবা ইউটিউব টিউটোরিয়ালসে অনেক হেল্প করে, প্রেজেন্টেশন স্কিলস। সো এই জিনিসগুলো তো আই থিঙ্ক এগুলো একাডেমিক যে আমাদের ট্রেনিং গুলো হয় ওগুলোর বাদ দিয়েও আমরা এর বাইরে আসলে অনেকভাবে নিজেদেরকে আপস্কিল করতে পারি। বাট এটা আই গেস অনেকে অত সিরিয়াসলি নেয় না, দ্যাটস ওয়াই ফার্স্ট জবে এসে যখন প্র্যাকটিক্যাল এক্সপোজার হয় তখন এই জিনিসগুলো নিয়ে স্ট্রাগল করে। So other things I think with time and proper guidance and monitoring, ওটা এমনিতেই ডেভেলপ করে যায়।
So with the same question, yes, Ayesha miss.
Okay, so
sorry for the interruption. I think I have missed one important part, that's productivity. সরি ফর দ্য ইন্টারাপশন আয়েশা আপু, এটাও আসলে আমি বলতে ভুলে গেছিলাম, সরি। সো প্রোঅ্যাক্টিভিটি অনেকে যখন জয়েন করে তখন দেখা যায় যে নিজে থেকে এগিয়ে আসে না কোনো কাজ করার জন্য অথবা কোনো চ্যালেঞ্জ নেওয়ার জন্য, কোনো টাস্ক যদি অ্যাসাইন করা না হয় তাহলে এর বাইরে আসলে তারা যেতে পারে না। আই থিঙ্ক এটা ইম্পর্টেন্ট। আই এম জাস্ট সেইং দিস ফর দ্য স্টুডেন্টস যারা আসলে নেক্সট লেভেলে কোনো জবটাতে জয়েন করবে। আই এম সরি আয়েশা আপু, প্লিজ ক্যারি অন।
No problem, Sweety. So yeah, so something very interesting
Mohammad Ali Johnny, may I request you to please put yourself on mute? Great, thanks.
Right. So, with my experience of working with freshers over the last couple of years, আমি যে জিনিসটা দেখতে পেরেছি যে the first thing that comes is a transition, right? From campus to corporate. ওই যে একটা dramatic একটা change, আমার মনে হয় ওখানে adaptability একটা বড় একটা ইস্যু চলে আসে। And when I say that, আমি যেটা বলতে চাচ্ছি যে if you expect মানে expectation versus reality, there are a lot of changes because the kind of lifestyle that you've led 4 years in the campus and then you go back to work, when you first go into work, you're working with multi-generational people, right? Your boss can be at least 20 years or senior to you, or the peers that you're working with, maybe they have 4 or 5 years more experience than you, right? Maybe in the same grade or even. So the shocking part is how you're going to manage your stakeholders. এখানে আমার কাছে মনে হয় it's a very big challenge when it comes to freshers who do come into the work. ওটা যদি এক বছরের মধ্যে যদি if you can somehow learn to manage laterally and upwards, that's a very big win. এটা I think this is something, stakeholder management টা, যে আপনি কার সাথে কিভাবে কথা বলবেন, how to what extent you're going to share information, and to what extent culturally ওই particular organization এর normটা কি আছে। কোন organization এ হয়তো it's a very serve madam oriented organization, কোন organization maybe it's a very open approach to হয়তো নাম ধরেও ডাকে, so it depends within our country, even organization to organization vary করে। So I think এই জায়গাটা is one area। আর সেকেন্ড একটা জিনিস হচ্ছে যে কমিউনিকেশন স্কিল তো ভালো, সবাই আজকাল প্রেজেন্টেশন দিচ্ছ ইউনিভার্সিটিতে, ফাটিয়ে ফেলছো, মানে you guys are the best in the best when it comes to giving presentations, but when you come to work, that doesn't work. Just good communication skill doesn't work. What really works is your ability to articulate, right? Jawaad bhai bolchil je to what extent মানে are you listening, are you giving the right answer? So আমরা যেটা দেখি যে একটু overwhelmed হয়ে যায়, like when you're coming to the work for the first time, দেখা যাচ্ছে যে অনেকগুলো মিটিং এ যাচ্ছেন, আপনি অনেক কিছু পিক করছেন, তারপরে যখন আপনাকে রেসপন্ড করতে বলা হচ্ছে, there is an information overload already, right? So to what extent you are going to communicate and how articulately you're going to do it, so এই জায়গাটাতে একটু ফোকাসটা আমার মনে হয় হারিয়ে যায়। So while we say that definitely একটা পার্টিকুলার দিনে 3টা টাস্ক শেষ হয়ে যাচ্ছে, 5টা কাজ পাইল আপ হয়ে যাচ্ছে, right? You have to prioritize তো করতে হবে, right? Which is যেটা ডেডলাইনের জন্য দরকার, যেটা আপনার বসের কাছে ইম্পর্টেন্ট, আপনার কাছে প্রায়োরিটি পাচ্ছে। So prioritizing is another thing that that sometimes I see যে এই জায়গাটাতে অনেকটা স্ট্রাগল করে। আর আরেকটা যেটা হচ্ছে যে ওয়াইড ইন্টারেস্ট, ফ্রেশারদের সবকিছুতে ইন্টারেস্ট, প্রত্যেকটা ডিপার্টমেন্ট কি করছে সবকিছুতে জানতে হবে। there is always this thing called কি জানি বলে না আজকাল, fear of missing out, FOMO, ওরা কি করছে আমি ওখানে নাই, oh there is a lunch over there, I need to be there. আমার মনে হয় this FOMO really is something of that represents this generation. I would say that yeah, of course সবকিছুতেই আপনি মানে you can't be at any point in time, can you be everywhere? You cannot be everywhere. So focus, এই ফোকাসটা কিন্তু দরকার। So দেখা যাচ্ছে যে don't try to be master of every trade, যেখানে আছেন ওই জায়গাটাতে একটু ভালো করে একটু সময় দেন। বিকজ যেটা আমি দেখি যে 1 বছর কাজ করে তারপর বলে যে বা এরকম ইন্টারেস্ট আছে, আমি এখানে আর শেখার কিছু নাই, I'm done and over with, I need to do something new. If you say that after first year into the job, that's detrimental. You need to spend an ample amount of time to master what you're doing at the moment. Focus, shift from FOMO to focus. Okay, that's going to be my my calling to you guys. Thank you.
Let me just build on quickly on what's been said by Sweety and Ayesha. I think the biggest reality check is that what got you there isn't what will help you grow and be successful in the role that you've taken on or in the assignment that you've taken on, right? So that means that, of course, when you're studying, a lot of it is, understanding what is the content of the course, giving exams, giving midterms, and it's pretty structured. Every course is pretty structured, obviously, because for the sake of, that's why we have educational institutions in place to give you that structure. But in the workplace, let's be honest, it is not as structured. Not everything will come in the form of what you are used to. So that's a lot of calibrating and a lot of adjusting. Again, what's already been said, that a lot of it is adjusting to what your organization is asking of you and being able to deliver. I think the gap happens when you expected something else and you sort of go in and see that it's not meeting or up to your expectation, and that's where sort of disappointment kicks in. So it's just being open to that experience and just understanding what made you successful would not necessarily make you as successful in the workplace, right? But again, there are a lot of good things that you can learn in the classroom that you can translate, and those are the things that will sort of help you there. There's another point I would like to mention, which is the reality check is the fact of the matter remains that you have to the moment you are sort of getting into the workplace, there's no grade that you're going to receive immediately at the end of an exam, at the end of say a midterm, just like that. You know how much you've scored. You know whether you're going to get an A. You can sort of calculate, okay, if I do well in this exam. But in the workplace, it's a bit more subtle. It's a bit more spaced out. You don't necessarily get feedback immediately. Of course, you can get into the habit of asking for feedback, and that's something you can grow into. But feedback comes in a more structured and more sparse manner. So you have to sort of understand that if you want to grow and be a better version of yourself, you'll need to take a step back quite often and to reflect and that's sort of more of a personal reflection, that what you did well, what went well, what didn't go so well, and of course take some help. But you're not going to exactly get a grade immediately after your exam to understand how it went. So that's a bit of a reality check in the sense that there's something not necessarily you're used to. It's something you don't think about before going into the workplace, but that is something that unfortunately it's a big change in the feedback and mechanism that you're used to. Yeah. Back to you, Promi.
Thank you so much. So I think we have received our first question of this afternoon, that how much does doing business competitions help? And this question is from Shadab Shadman. Yes, Ayesha miss.
Let me,
Jawad,
Ayesha, over to you.
I think over to you, Jawad, please.
So I think being on the other end of several case competitions, and I think I've been on the participant end as well. I think it definitely helps. Right? It gives you an idea of the company that you're about to sort of going to work for through that case competition. So it gives you an idea of how how your colleagues might be, how the organization culture might be. But also it's probably a good way to understand that what do you do better, say in a tense situation or in a difficult situation, and how do you handle maybe a stressful situation. So I think that's sort of an important part of growing as a professional. So definitely that experience helps. But at the same time, it's important that you take you also, like I said, go back and relook what you learned and see how much of that you can translate onto real life work scenarios.
Thank you, Jawad. I think I could just add here. So basically, you see, when we look at a resume of a person who is probably got a 3.9, and then a person with no extracurricular activities, and then you see a person who has managed a 3.4 or a 5, and then also been in a couple of business case competitions, maybe bagged a few, and probably didn't win some. But for us, any person who has, done these business competition, I would say that that would be a more heavy profile than with somebody who does not have that experience. Why is this business case competition experience? I would really put it as an experience. Why is it so important? It's particularly important because employers would want to see if you have done more with your time as a student. And particularly, I believe that any form of business competition helps to grow your leadership skills, right? Some of the leadership skills could be definitely to what extent, you can work under stress, and how you manage yourself, and how also you can manage the team members that you're working with, right? That work dynamic. It's all about that. Whatever you learn from the case functionally, that is different, but it's a people dynamic that is important. And I mean, what I've seen over the years, that people who have been through business case competitions are more emotionally intelligent, right, than people who are not. So there you have it, which is much required, by the way, skill set for the future and today.
Great. So I think covering two of the discussion points and also receiving a very good question from the student, we have already covered the half of the discussion points that we have designed today. So let's move on to this third discussion point, and that is cracking the flagship recruitment programs, tips and tricks to crack the renowned flagship MTO and other programs. So with this question, I'd like to ask Jawaad sir to share his thoughts on this question.
Again, being on the other end of it, I think what really helps is, if you look at the entire, flagship programs on what they're designed, right? They're designed to sort of bring in, good candidates and good, the good students and, people who sort of demonstrated some form of differentiation in their application, and put them through a process and see who's the best fit, right? So again, from long experience on the other side, what I can say is the employers are really looking for who will be the right fit, right? And right fit means so many things, so many different things to it means different things to different employers, right? So right fit means that if someone's looking for a certain skill set of people, depending on their industry, they're looking at, say, someone with a more finance background. So that's one bit. So I think that's the sort of filtering you have to do, that if I want to apply to this program, I've got to look at which function this is for. And even if it's not mentioned function, you should also, I would request that maybe spend a bit of time trying to find out whether it's an opening in the area you want to work in, right? Now, coming back to the original question, which is about cracking it, it's like I said, so culture fit means that they're looking for certain behaviors. That really depends on the organization in itself. Every company has different values and different, let's say cultural markers that they look for. But I believe with a bit of research, you can find out what that is. You can talk to, your alumni network. You can talk to others who've been through that similar program to ask them, find out how that experience is. Not very likely you will not get the same questions or case, but at least you can learn from the others that what their experience has been, how did they tackle, and how did they sort of manage, say, the different scenarios or case simulations that they're asked to solve, right? There is no one approach that fits all. it really depends on, say, the company you're applying for. So maybe what you need to do is sometimes take a step back and look at, what is it that the company usually hires for in prospective candidates or employees, and how do you demonstrate that in that setting, and also, doing your homework as to whether this is the company you feel yourself working in the long term in terms of cultural fit and all of that, and again demonstrate that in that simulation or setting. Yeah.
Sweety, should I go, or would you want
Yes,
to?
yes, please.
Yeah. So just to build on what Jawad had just said. So something that I think many of you should be aware of is a lot of organizations nowadays, when it comes to the MTO recruitment, they do use artificial intelligence tools for assessment, right? So many organizations don't, but a lot of them do. So you have to be really prepared in the sense that when it comes to tools such as artificial intelligence tools, most of the time these are gamification kind of rounds, right? Where you actually they check at the back end, just to tell you the secret of what goes around with these artificial intelligence tests, is that at the back end, whichever organization you're applying for, they will try to match whatever you're doing in the game in the front end with at the back end. They will have some algorithm which they will use to basically match that particular organization's values or competencies, right? So that amount of research you need to do. For example, if you're applying for Banglalink example, what does this company, really strive to look for? For example, we are probably we talk a lot about being, truthful, right? So ethics and integrity is very important for us. So maybe there might be a round of a game where you could be put in a dilemma, right? So there will be situation-based games that you may have to play, and the best approach for these MTO programs is time and time you will be tested with the same set of questions in a different way. All right. So it's basically really trying to filter out what you stand for as a person. So be very true to yourself and honest throughout the process, right? And that is the most important thing, I think, that at the end of the day, you are being compared to probably other candidates who are as good as you or better than you, right? So this is very important, and I think Jawaad had talked about alumni. This is something I would once again emphasize. It's although you may not get the same questions, but it's very, very important that when you're applying for an MTO program, you need to talk about alumni from a university who are already part of that organization, because they can actually give you a feel of how long and rigorous this recruitment process can be. Because sometimes these recruitment processes, probably they have 1 or 2 steps and it's over and done with. Sometimes they have multiple steps, and that can be something you need to be aware of, right? You have to manage your expectations. It shouldn't be like, oh, I've done 3 steps, I don't want to sit for another interview, right? So you need to really understand, because ek-ekta MTO program, ek-ekta organization on a different one. Do not expect what happens at Novo Nordisk to be the same at Pathao or the same at Banglalink, right? We are very different as an organization. So definitely the recruitment steps are different. But one thing that is very much common in any MTO program is that they're trying to filter out the best talent from the talent market, right? So, being innovative and understanding that particular organization's recruitment process is very important. Especially আরেকটা জিনিস আমি বলবো, আপনাদেরকে যখন ফোকাস গ্রুপ ডিসকাশনে পাঠানো হবে, এটার একটু হোমওয়ার্ক করে যেতে হবে। whichever organization, যদি ওখানে ফোকাস গ্রুপ ডিসকাশন থাকে, you need to really understand the protocols when it comes to an FGD. If you go blank, that's not really going to help you. You may be the most smartest person in that room, but if you have not cracked that's the end of the game. Thank you.
I think most of the things are covered by Ayesha and Jawaad, right? So I would like to add some more tips and tricks যদি খুব স্পেসিফিকলি বলি, for management training, what we look for? We look for a package, right? You have to offer yourself as a package. শুধু academic score না, your personal attributes অনেক ম্যাটার করে। So যেটা আয়েশা আপু was saying, যে কোম্পানি রিসার্চ করাটা, এই হোমওয়ার্ক করাটা আসলে অনেক ইম্পর্টেন্ট, বিকজ ম্যাক্সিমাম ম্যানেজমেন্টই কোম্পানি রিলেটেড এন্ড বিজনেস রিলেটেড কোশ্চেন্সে থাকবে। ইটস বেটার যদি আপনি একটু রিসার্চ করে যান, কোম্পানির প্রোডাক্টগুলোর ব্যাপারে একটু আইডিয়া নিয়ে যান, ইট উইল হেল্প ইউ টু ডু দ্য অ্যাসাইনমেন্টস অর কেস স্টাডিজ যেটাই দেওয়া হয়, রাইট? আর কিছু লাইক ফোকাস গ্রুপ ডিসকাশনে আই থিঙ্ক it's an opportunity for you to your portray yourself as a leader. সবাই ওই টাইমে তাদের টিম থাকে, ওটা টিম ওয়ার্ক, রাইট? কেউ হয়তো পয়েন্ট গুলো লিখছে, কেউ হয়তো বা লজিক গুলো দিচ্ছে, বাট একজন থাকে যে আসলে পুরো জিনিসটা লিড করে ফেলে, লিড নিয়ে নেয়। তো সে হয়তো প্রেজেন্টেশন নিচ্ছে। আমরা কিন্তু অ্যাকচুয়ালি ওই জিনিসগুলো দেখি যখন আমরা এই অ্যাসাইনমেন্ট গুলো করি। আমরা দেখি না যে কে সবচেয়ে ভালো সলিউশনটা দিল, আমরা দেখি যে যেই সলিউশনটা আসলে সেটা ফিজিক্যাল হোক আর না হোক, হোয়াটস দ্য লজিক বিহাইন্ড দ্যাট, তার অ্যানালিটিক্যাল থটস গুলো কি, রাইট? সেম ফর রোল প্লে তো আর্গুমেন্ট করতে হবে। যারা আর্গু করে না, আমি যেটাই বলছি ওরা যদি মেনে নেয়, হি অর শি ইজ নট অ্যান আইডিয়াল ক্যান্ডিডেট ফর মি, বিকজ আমাকে কাউন্টার করতে হবে, রাইট? That's how you can show your confidence and your logic. So and এর বাইরে I think you should have control on your nerve and be patient, because এই অ্যাসাইনমেন্ট গুলো আসলে অনেক লেন্থি হয়, অনেকগুলো স্টেপস থাকে, অনেকগুলো ফেজ থাকে। এইগুলো শেষ করে অনেকেই হয়তো বা লাস্ট ইন্টারভিউ করতে যেয়ে হয়তো বাদ করে যায়। গিভ আপ করা যাবে না, পরে আবার ট্রাই করতে হবে। So yeah, thank you.
I think we have received some really great tips and tricks for the recruitment processes, how to stand out and how to better prepare students. So we have our second question, and Muhammad Miftahul Islam Mia asks, gathering job experience as a finance undergraduate student is quite tough. Would grades and ECAs be prioritized in that case, and would a CFA level 1 help?
Let me answer my take on it, and of course, I'm sure Sweety Apu and Ayesha Apu probably have their take on it as well. My take on it is, if you're trying to get a finance, job, or say if you feel that you want to apply to finance roles only, then I think what is more important is you understand, at least you have a rudimentary understanding of how finance roles work, or at least very core corporate finance roles work, right? They work a lot with, less with accounting and more with, cash flows, doing cash flow analysis, doing, valuations of different business units or projects and proposals. I'm talking about at least on a, starting role. So if that you feel is something you'd be interested in, then there are lots of resources available, and there's lots of platforms available where you can learn how to do those. And I think that will give you it'll give you more of a leg up in doing that job successfully, rather than say a CFA 1, because as far as I also understand, if you're doing a CFA level 1, it really helps if you already have experience to relate that to. Yes, of course, it might help your resumes stand out, but the objective is to not only get your foot into the door, your objective is to do well. So I think maybe understand what type of finance role it is that you want to do, and if it's the type where, if it's, like I said, if it's core finance, then lots of things, lots of material available, and there's lots of people who are, of course, because finance is what makes the world go round. We know that. So there are lots of great analysts who now put out their work on different platforms that you can follow on how, better ways to look at how to, dissect a business valuation. You're not only looking at discount DCF, you're looking at, different ways of payback periods and They're comparing it against other companies of similar growth level and so on and so forth. Again, but not to go into too much details. I think, like I said, that maybe take that do that stock check, that what type of finance role you want to do, and see what are the skills they're looking for in that role. Yeah.
Promi, could you please repeat the question?
Yes, of course. So our question is, gathering job experience as a finance undergraduate student is quite tough. Would grades and ECAs be prioritized in that case? And would a CFA level 1 help?
Yeah, sure. It might help. It might help. But I suggest directly finance or directly relevant experience now. I mean, direct finance experience না হলেও relevant experience কিন্তু gather করা যায়, right? আমি একদম directly কোনো professional course এ যাওয়াটা আসলে অত support করি না, but it's a good to have thing. You can have it. But I suggest এটার পাশাপাশি আরো কিছু skill আছে যেটা like you have to be good with numbers, right? And report. এই দুটোতে focus করলে I think it would be easier for you to get your first professional exposure.
Just to add something to the first line here, that job experience part, right? So I feel that, of course, as a fresher, definitely you're trying to nail your first job, but some things that you can do is, I know for academic purposes, most of you, do pursue internships, but if it is possible, even if it is outside your academic scope, try to get into some kind of, even if it's an unpaid internship in a department that you aspire to really work in. I remember a colleague a couple of years back where, in my previous organization, he was doing an internship and it was without pay. And today he is a treasurer in a very renowned, company abroad. And I remember him working without pay as an intern for 6 long months. And then I was asking him that, at that point in time, that why are you doing this? I mean, there is no pay, and you're just, you probably should start looking for a job somewhere else. And then he's like, no, I'm confident that, this is where I want to grow my career, even if it is, I'm just using this time to, get as much work experience as I can. And somehow that organization, they valued his interest, and then he was offered the job. So I think as a student, if you're pretty focused that you want a career in the finance department, there's always that opportunity where you can do a part-time job, or you can do an internship, even if it's without pay, so that when you sit in that real job interview, you can correlate with some of your experiences. I think if you're really passionate, you can do it. Thank you.
Great answers. Thank you so much, speakers. And this leads us to the fourth discussion point of the afternoon, which is on new normal and Bangladesh. So influence of COVID-19 and how workplace has been transformed with new work tools, both in terms of technological and technical aspects.
Well, I think, can you hear me, Promi? I think I'm having a network issue. Hello?
We can hear you, Sweety.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, Miss, we can hear you.
Of course, I think এটা সবচেয়ে বড় effect যেটা এখন আমরা করছি, virtual session, right? এটা আসলে আগে ছিল না। আগে যেটা হতো যে হয়তো ইউনিভার্সিটি থেকে ইনভাইট করতো, আমরা ইন পার্সন যেতাম, এন্ড দেন হয়তো একটা অডিয়েন্সের সামনে আমরা প্রেজেন্ট করতাম। সো এটা এখন লাইফ অনেক ইজি হয়ে গিয়েছে। আমি টেকনোলজিক্যালি যেভাবে বলি না কেন, COVID-19 has reshaped the way we work, partially forever, right? So এটা রিমোট ওয়ার্ককে, যেটা আগে এন্টায়ারলি টেক বেসড কোম্পানিগুলোতে ছিল, and ফ্রিল্যান্সারদের জন্য ছিল, এটার all ইন্ডাস্ট্রিতে এটা ইন্ট্রোডিউস করেছে and eventually এটা নর্মালাইজ করেছে। We have to admit that, right? And এর পাশাপাশি একটা যেটা আসে সেটা হচ্ছে যে হাইব্রিড ওয়ে অফ ওয়ার্কিং, right? We have to come to office some days and we do remote work some days, right? এগুলো হচ্ছে যেভাবে আমরা কাজ করি ওই কাজগুলোতে এটা যে কোভিড-19 যে ইমপ্যাক্ট আছে। আর যদি আমি স্পেসিফিকলি টুলগুলোর কথা বলি, জুম, জিমিট, এগুলো তো অফকোর্স মিটিং এর জন্য আছে। আদার কাজগুলোর জন্য আই এম শিওর জাওয়াদ ভাই এন্ড আয়েশা আপু যারা যারা এইচআর প্রফেশনাল আছে তারা জানে যে যখন আমরা একদম ওয়ার্ক ফ্রম হোমে ছিলাম তখন সাইন করাটা অনেক বড় একটা চ্যালেঞ্জ ছিল, রাইট? সো দেয়ার ইজ গট হেলো সাইন, সো ওটা আর ইস্যু থাকলো না। দেন অফকোর্স ইউজিং ভিপিএন, আগে অনেকে এটার সাথে ফ্যামিলিয়ার ছিল না যেটা কি জিনিস। সো ভিপিএন এর থ্রুতে আমরা আমাদের নেটওয়ার্ক সিকিউরিটিটাকে ইন্টারক্টেড রাখতে পেরেছি, রাইট? এর বাইরে যারা একটু যেসব কোম্পানিজ গুলো একটু স্ট্রিক্ট রিগার্ডিং অ্যাটেন্ডেন্স এন্ড এভরিথিং, তারা আরো কিছু টুল ইউজ করেছে। এই মুহূর্তে মনে পড়ছে ইবারিজের কথা। সো ইয়া, নতুন নতুন টুলস হয়তো বা সামনে আরো আসবে যেগুলো নিয়ে আমাদের কাজ করতে হবে। বাট আই উড লাইক টু অ্যাড আ পার্সোনাল নোট, আই রিয়েলি ওয়ান্ট টু ডু ইট এগেন। Remote work is really challenging. Over to Ayesha for Zaud bhai.
Okay, I guess I can go. So the concept basically is of this hybrid work, right? That's, I think we are doing a lot of that nowadays. Or, you know, in the pandemic, it has actually taught us to do hybrid work. So basically concept key. Office, we are all together. Any issues, any escalations, line manager কাছ থেকে কোনো suggestion, peer দের কাছ থেকে কোনো একটা feedback, this desk এর সামনে দাঁড়িয়ে গেলে কিন্তু পাওয়া যায়, right? But when it happens, so that's basically the mode of together, right? তারপরে এখন যেটা কি হচ্ছে, আমরা কাজ করছি, we are sometimes together, যেরকম আজকে যে সেশনটা করছি, this is we are together, right? But virtually, আবার কিছু অনেকটা সময় থাকে যে we are alone, right? So এটাকে বলা হচ্ছে alone time, right? So এই জায়গাটাতেই মানে I think আপনারা যারা স্টুডেন্ট কাজে আসবেন, এই লোনলিনেসটা কিন্তু খুবই কঠিন একটা সময়, যেটা সুইটি আপা বলছিল যে she doesn't want it because it gets lonely out there. Especially যারা নাকি নতুন কাজে আসছেন, আপনাদের জন্য you're trying to learn a lot of new things, right? You want to interact with your colleagues, you want to have that lunch together, right? ওই social interaction gets really missing when it comes to alone time. এবং আবার কেউ আছে খুবই introvert, তারা বলে না এই work from home ভালো, আমি অনেক productive এবং I want my me time, I will work on deliverables. কাজকে বলেন দিয়ে দিব করে 6 PM এর মধ্যে হয়ে যাবে। এই জায়গাটাতে I to beg to differ. If you think that you can get all your deliverables done totally through alone time, তাহলে কিন্তু quality of work will not happen. Even if you're working from home, you know, through Zoom or Teams or whatever the medium of the organization that provides you, it's very, very important যাতে এই social interaction গুলো, but ওই check-in গুলো করা, যে আমি আমার কলিগদের সাথে সবসময় কাজ রিলেটেড কথাই বলতে হবে সেটা কিন্তু না। You have to have check-ins or daily check-ins, যেখানে আপনি কিন্তু আপনার টিম মেম্বারদের সাথে you initiate sometimes you be part of the team where you discuss and turn the video on and talk. অনেক সময় দেখা যাচ্ছে যে আমরা অফিসে অনেক কাজ করি but we don't even turn on the video, but week after week you don't even know what your colleague actually looks like anymore. Don't go to that extent. There are etiquettes of working in a hybrid modality. So ওই মাইন্ডসেটটা খুবই ইম্পর্টেন্ট যে যদি হ্যাঁ because of COVID আমাদের মাঝে এটা তো কয়েকবার with the fourth wave having in, I'm sure a lot of offices again had to close down, right? অনেকে আবার বাসা থেকে কাজ শুরু করে দিয়েছে, আবার কিন্তু এখন আবার ফেরত যাচ্ছি, we are going back this week again. So এই মাইন্ডসেটটা যে anytime anything can happen, just because আমি আবার together মোডে কাজ করছি doesn't mean যে আমাকে অ্যালোনে যেতে হবে না, ওইটা মাইন্ডসেটটার জন্য আমার মনে হয় রেডি থাকতে হবে. So it's all about mindset, accepting whatever changes that come in, you should be able to do your best. একটা হচ্ছে যে do not only focus on deliverables, please do take into account the human interactions as well. Even if it is a phone call or even if it is turning on the video, do that. Thank you.
I'll just add one last bit to it. I think what the pandemic has taught us that we need to be more deliberate about our interactions and engagements. What we took for granted, as you know, what's referred to the water cooler chats, that of course you know, that dissipates, or obviously because if you no longer have that same group of people that you're seeing in a face-to-face setting. So I think what you know, you can expect and what you need to be prepared for, someone who is on, you know, who might be entering that scenario for the first time, is realizing that, you know, the workplace as you knew it to be, it'll take some time if we get there. That is, if we ever get there, right? And so that means you need to be more deliberate about your interactions, because, like I said at the beginning, right, it's about getting your work done. It's also being a good colleague, and those two things really need you to build, you know, meaningful relationships and connections at work, right? Because let's be honest, no, it's nearly impossible to get anything done by yourself alone. That's just how workplaces are. That's just how the world is. So maybe what I can suggest is that effectively, there's so many great tools and great platforms that you can use that will help you maybe get, you know, a work done, you know, get this, you know, specific piece of work done, but that's not all of it, right? Make sure you make that, you know, deliberate time to spend and understand who your colleagues are, who your team members are, what are they, not only in the workplace, how they, you know, what they are like as individuals, right? Because of course, you know, I'm all about respecting boundaries, but at the same time, I think it's important to at least understand where your colleague or where your team member is is in a space mentally, or you know, where they're coming from, and that will definitely help you, you know, succeed in the workplace. Yeah.
We have received another set of great insights from our speakers, because I really do think that the students or fresh grads who are actually looking forward to the workplaces, the hybrid models, the changes after the COVID are quite, it has set a lot of confusion in their mind in terms of what to expect and how to do it, and a lot of other things. And I really think that our speakers have summed it up really well from their years of experiences. I really hope the students have benefited from them as well. We have received another question, and it is by Sadman Saqib, and he asks, as a business graduate majoring in MIS, what sorts of hard skills I'll be needing that would help me in my corporate life?
So hard skills here, I think, is he referring to functional skills? Saqib, are you referring to hard skills as functional skills?
Yes, the answer is yes. He is referring to the functional skills.
So it depends. I mean, as you just rightly said, you're a MIS major, so that itself is a functional skill set, right? So maybe what kind of jobs that you could really get into with an MIS major? Maybe you would be part of a business intelligence team, data crunching, right? Or an analytics team. So definitely the hard skills are around data crunching and analytics. And so I guess those are the skill sets that you need to have, you know, hone on. And I think to some extent, people who are doing these kind of roles of analytics, I think to some extent, sometimes I think they also need to understand coding as well, right? So maybe that can also be something that you could take interest in. Thank you.
Yeah, I think advanced level skill course or maybe SQL, basic SQL course might help you.
Jawaad sir, would you like to add anything?
No, I was just about to mention that I think, Sweety Apu and Ayesha Apu have answered it perfectly, and nothing to further add from my end.
All right, so thank you so much. I do hope Sadman, you have got your answer. So I think this actually leads to the question that during the pandemic, we have seen a significant change in terms of the learning aspect. For example, there are a lot of resources that has been, the students have got so many exposures. I really believe the pandemic has opened a new window for it. So what would be your suggestion that in terms of when students are preparing themselves for different skills such as negotiation skills, there are a lot of courses on that as well. There are some courses which are related with analytics. And so what would be your suggestion that how students should portray their learnings in such a way that it can help them to stand out among the crowd?
From me, if I am, correct me if I'm wrong, on my understanding of the question, is that so much has changed so quickly. So how do graduates make their application or make themselves stand out? I think there are many ways to sort of make your application or make your candidacy stand out, which is I think tailoring your resume or CV to the role that you're applying for, right? I think that helps. Of course, that helps a bit more when you're applying for more senior roles, but it still helps even when you're applying to a fresh role. The other bit I would like to say is that doing your homework on the organization. I think it's already been said in this forum by Ayesha Apu. So, but it's really doing your homework on the line manager, on the people you'll be working with, on the organization you'll be working with, right? That definitely shows that you're interested and you're here to actually engage in a meaningful conversation around what that opportunity could lead to. So definitely that gives you better standing than and at least as good a standing as someone who's doing their homework and showing interest. Yeah.
So I'll just add here, thanks Jawaad. So basically, what is it that an employer is looking from a fresher, right? Because we have experienced people in our organization. What are you actually, why do you want new people on board, right? Definitely, I think most employers, especially in tech-based organizations, I would say, and other organizations as well, is that you're looking for new ideas, right? You want that fresh idea. From freshers, we want those fresh ideas, right? So something that can definitely help you, stand out from the rest of the crowd is if you can somehow, impress the board who you're interviewing with some of your innovative ideas, because that's what kind of hooks the recruiter, right? Okay, that this person has some great ideas that this person is talking about. And the only way you can actually talk about great ideas is whichever topic you're studying at university, rather than just pursuing that A. If you actually get a B, that's okay, but spending time learning that topic well, right? Because innovation actually comes out from some of your past experiences or the knowledges you have. Based on that, you can build, right? So definitely, I think that level of sincerity, if you can demonstrate while you're studying as a student to any of the courses that you're doing, and if you can translate that passion when you speak to your future employer, that is going to really be, I think, I think the game changer. Thank you.
So I think the question was about the training courses, যেটা fresh graduate-রা নিতে পারে to get entered into the job market, right? So training আসলে তো অনেক ধরনের ট্রেনিং আছে, right? So সবচেয়ে ইম্পর্টেন্ট হচ্ছে know yourself. আপনি কি করতে চান? Where do you see yourself? ওটা ইম্পর্টেন্ট, ওটার উপর বেস করে আসলে কি ট্রেনিং কোর্সেস আসলে রেকমেন্ডেড হবে ওটা ডিপেন্ড করে। রাইট? সো আমি বলার জন্য বলতে পারি হ্যাঁ ডেটা স্কিল ডেভেলপ করেন, ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ স্কিল ডেভেলপ করেন, অথবা অ্যানালিটিক্যাল স্কিলস বা পিপল স্কিল ডেভেলপ করেন, বাট এটা আসলে ডিপেন্ড করে আপনি কি করবেন ফিউচারে। সো ফার্স্ট ইম্পর্টেন্ট হচ্ছে যে নো ইয়োরসেলফ। সো তারপরে আপনি ডিসাইড করেন যে এটা এই কাজটা করতে গেলে আপনার কি কি স্কিল ডেভেলপ করতে হবে। এন্ড এটার জন্য অনেক ম্যাটেরিয়ালস আছে অনলাইনে, ইউটিউবে ম্যাটেরিয়ালস আছে, ট্রেনিং কোর্সেস আছে, এন্ড লিঙ্কডইন ইজ এ রিয়েলি good platform for online courses, right? Or as for standing out in the crowd, so I'll start with the most cliche one, CV or resume. So your CV has to be very eye-catching and striking. এটা সবাই বলবে, সবাই অলওয়েজ বলে, cliche but it's important, right? But try to be authentic. Don't try to be someone else just to fit in or stand out. আপনি যেটা ওটাই সিভিতে যেন রিফ্লেক্ট করে, রাইট? এন্ড দেন হ্যাভিং ওপেন মাইন্ড। আমাদের প্রেফারেন্স থাকতে পারে, বাট ফার্স্ট জব হিসেবে আমরা আসলে কোথায় যাব এটার জন্য আমাদের উই হ্যাভ টু বি ওপেন, রাইট? বাট হ্যাভিং সেড দ্যাট, ব্লাইন্ডলি সব জায়গায় আমরা অ্যাপ্লাই করেন না। এমন কোথাও আপনি অ্যাপ্লাই করেন না যেখানে আপনি কাজ করবেন না, রাইট? জাস্ট গেট ইউর ফার্স্ট জব, বিকজ আলটিমেটলি আপনি ওখানে সেটেল হতে পারবেন না যদি কাজটা একটু পছন্দ না করেন, ইন্ডাস্ট্রি যদি আপনার প্রিফার্ড না হয়, রাইট? বি প্রোঅ্যাক্টিভ, ডোন্ট ডিপেন্ড অন দ্য নোটিফিকেশন যেটা আপনার হয়তো জব পোর্টালে আসবে অথবা লিঙ্কডইনে আসবে। প্রোঅ্যাক্টিভলি ভালো কোম্পানিগুলোর ক্যারিয়ার পেজগুলো ভিজিট করেন, ওয়েবসাইটগুলো ভিজিট করেন, ওখানে জব অপরচুনিটিস গুলো অ্যাডভাইস করা হয়, রাইট? সো ওগুলো দেখেন। দেন প্রফেশনাল নেটওয়ার্ক ক্রিয়েট করেন। লিঙ্কডইন একটু বেশি অ্যাক্টিভ থাকতে হবে যদি আপনি রিয়েলি প্রফেশনাল বেটার হতে চান বা অ্যাক্টিভ থাকতে চান, রাইট? And don't sit idle. So আপনি অনেক ইন্টারভিউস দিচ্ছেন, অনেক রিটেন টেস্ট দিচ্ছেন, হচ্ছে না, এই টাইমটা আপনি কি করবেন? আপনি 1 বছর আগে পাস করেছেন, পরের বছর যে আপনি যদি কেউ কোনো ইন্টারভিউ অর এমপ্লয়ার দেখে যে 1 বছর আপনি আসলে এভাবে কিছুই করেননি, ওটা কিন্তু আপনার জন্য খুব একটা পজিটিভ কিছু হবে না, রাইট? সো এই সময়টা আপনি ইউটিলাইজ করেন, আপস্কিল ইয়োরসেলফ, ট্রেনিং কোর্সেস নেন, যেটা বলছিলাম যে আপনি যে ইন্ডাস্ট্রিতে যে ফাংশনে কাজ করতে চান ওই রিলেভেন্ট ট্রেনিং কোর্সেস নেন, অথবা কোনো পার্ট টাইম জব করেন অথবা ফ্রিল্যান্সিং করেন, বাট অ্যাক্টিভ থাকেন, এটা খুব ইম্পর্টেন্ট। and on top of everything, I think attitude matters. You have to have a positive attitude. Yeah, I think that's all.
Thank you so much. So students, we have covered the 4 of the discussion points for you, and we have received some of really valuable information from our panelists. So if you have any question, we request you to put your question in the chat box and we will address it, of course. So since as our students share their questions in the chat box, we are really at the end of our session. So apart from these 4 discussion points that we have shared today, do you have anything to add more to that, so that maybe it is something that really that gives or inspires the students to better prepare themselves? So would you like to add anything else from your part?
I guess I could probably.
Okay,
Yes, please, Sweety, please proceed.
I think আমি এই কোশ্চেন আনসার আসলে আবার লাস্ট কোশ্চেনই দিয়ে দিয়েছি যে কিভাবে প্রিপারেশন দিলে বেটার হবে। সো ওটা সেম আসলে যেটা বলছিলাম যে যেগুলো আপস্কিলের কথা বলছিলাম যে ট্রেনিং কোর্সেস নেন, একই সাথে ট্রাই টু বিল্ড ইউর পার্সোনাল ট্রেডস, যেটা আপনার কাজের ক্ষেত্রে হেল্প করবে, রাইট? পিপল স্কিল, এটা আসলে আপনাকে কোনো ট্রেনিং কোর্সেস অথবা ইউটিউব ম্যাটেরিয়াল আসলে আপনি শিখতে পারবেন না, রাইট? সো এটা আপনাকে নিজেকে ডেভেলপ করতে হবে। আস্ক ইয়োরসেলফ Can people trust you with information? Because professional ইয়েতে আপনাকে অনেক সেন্সিটিভ ইনফরমেশন হ্যান্ডেল করতে হবে। আপনি যে যেটা কমিউনিকেট করতে চান ওটাকে আপনি এক্স্যাক্টলি ওইভাবে কমিউনিকেট করতে পারেন কিনা। সো আস্ক ইউরসেলফ এন্ড দেন ট্রাই টু আনসার দ্যাট। যদি আনসার আপনার ভালো না লাগে তাহলে ওটাই আপনি ওখানে আপনি ডেভেলপ করবেন। You need to work on that area. Hello?
Yeah, so let me just add to what Appa had just said, that for a fresher, it's very important that to learn from your mistakes, right? আপনারা হয়তো অনেকগুলো ইন্টারভিউ দিবেন, don't expect your প্রথম ইন্টারভিউতে you will nail it. That may not happen, but what didn't go right in that interview, you know, please use those learnings so that you can take it to the next interview. আমি মাঝে মাঝে I've been in interviews where freshers, they would say, I received a feedback from my previous interview. I was interviewing somewhere else that I need to improve on my communication skills, and I'm working on that. So that only says that this person is actually being very honest and transparent, যে তাকে কোন জায়গাটাতে improve করতে হবে. So even every interview is an experience, right? So try to learn from those mistakes and don't give up hope, because you need to understand that আপনাদের মতন a lot of qualified people are out there trying to get the job. But what really would help, if possible, এখন তো অনেক অর্গানাইজেশন ক্যাম্পাসে অ্যাম্বাসেডর হায়ার করছে, রাইট? কোনোভাবে স্টুডেন্ট বয়সে যদি কোনো অর্গানাইজেশনের সাথে কোনোভাবে কোনো নেটওয়ার্কিং যদি করে ফেলতে পারেন, that would really help you, right? So I would suggest that even while networking was something that used to be talked for, it was associated for senior people in the past, but now I think it's equally important for business graduates or university students as well. So definitely have that LinkedIn account ready, like the career pages that you want to work for, and send out the invites who you think are doing interesting work in the corporate arena, and be part of the sessions. Try to build some kind of a bond so that you're networking, and if you're part of clubs, nothing like it. I think that is the best opportunity for networking. Spend your time apart from your studies with club activities so that you're able to broaden your horizon and your networking, which I can assure you will help you land your first job. Thanks.
I'll just add a few points to it, which is, I think the biggest realization one has when they enter the workplace is realizing or understanding there is so much that they don't know. And then, of course, coming to terms with that, except, that understanding or realization means that you need to put in, like I said, deliberate effort to cover up the gaps in areas you are not necessarily don't have the skills or knowledge in. And I think what I'd like to add is that what I've seen, or at least from my own experiences, reading helps. It's something that will help you learn about what other companies went through, what other managers went through, what other executives went through, and being able to take that information and sort of break it down into parts that you can relate to will really, really broaden your frame of reference and frame of understanding things. And honestly speaking, that might not immediately help you in the job that you're doing, but will really help you be a more, well-rounded professional. And of course, if you are a well-rounded professional, let's be honest, the opportunities will keep on, coming in some form or the other, be it internally, where you can maybe grow within your company by taking different assignments and challenges, or, of course, you want to explore a career abroad or even in another company. So this is something that I've seen work. Of course, I'm not saying this is the only thing that works, but I've seen this work for a lot of people, where they've put in effort to really learn things beyond the job that they're currently doing, and be able to take that and apply it to the different challenges that they faced, and they've grown and flown in their careers. Yeah, I think that's my last message to all graduates coming in.
Thank you
I'd
so
like
much.
to add some one point to
Yes.
Jawaad Bhai and Ayesha. Please be desperate, whatever you want to do. নেটওয়ার্কিং কথা বলছিলেন আয়েশা আপু। আমি আমার পার্সোনাল এক্সপেরিয়েন্স শেয়ার করবো। আই অ্যাকচুয়ালি হ্যাড সামওয়ান যে আসলে আমি কনস্ট্যান্টলি মেসেজ করছিল লিঙ্কডইনে, যার সিভিটা আদারওয়াইজ যদি আমাকে পার্সোনালি নক না করতো অথবা আমি আদারওয়াইজ সিভিটা শর্টলিস্টই করতাম না। সো সে খুব ডেসপারেটলি আমাকে নক করছিল, এন্ড দেন I saw his CV and then I thought, okay, let's interview him, let's talk, and then I actually liked him and he got the job, right? So be desperate. I know this transformation, all of you are going to get your first ever job. This is a gateway of adulthood. You're going to earn your money, your identification, right? Your identity, your own identity. That sense of belongingness. যে আমি একটা কোম্পানির পার্ট, রাইট? এটা আমার, দিস ইজ মাই অফিস, দিস মাই কোম্পানি, দিস মাই ডেজিগনেশন, দিস মাই টিম। সো দিস ইজ রিয়েলি এক্সাইটিং, at the same time it's very challenging. So I really wish you all the best, and I'm sure সবাই অনেক ভালো করবেন, and সবার ফার্স্ট জব যেন প্রেফার্ড জব হয়। Good luck.
Thank you so much, Ayesha Miss, Sweety Miss, Jawaad sir. It has been an absolute pleasure to know from your experience, to know some of the great insights that you have shared with us this afternoon. And we also do hope that students who are preparing themselves, who are going through a lot of confusions, that how to be well prepared when you are entering into the job market. We really hope such initiatives help you to clear out your mind and have that particular specific map that would help you to chase your passion and also better prepare yourself as the job market keeps on transforming. So we do not have any questions in the chat box from students, and this actually I'm quite sure that hearing such great insights have help these students to know more about how they can prepare themselves better. The challenges will be there, but the effort to learn, the effort to grow as individual, to get to know what each student has their passion in, I think it really helps them to grow as a professional as well. And with that note, we are at the end of our session. Our sincere gratitude to Ayesha Miss, Sweety Miss, and Jawaad sir for your valuable time. For our students who have asked questions, who have been through with us throughout this afternoon, I think we have a very great participation. The last time I saw it was 105 participants in this afternoon, and among the classes, I know it's very hard sometimes to manage classes and to be very attentive in these webinars as well. So I really am thankful to all of you. So with that note, I really hope you have a great day ahead, and we hope you keep on chasing your passion. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Promi, also for moderating this session so well. And our heartiest gratitude to our speakers, respected speakers from Pathao, Sweety Apu from Banglalink, Saeed Apu, and Novo Nordisk, Jawaad Bhaiya. So hope to see you again and hope to have you again in further sessions. And we would like to carry on this business relationship with you definitely. And we want to share our gratitude from OCSAR, Office of Career Services and Alumni Relations. We still have Sanjida Apu, Tasnim, and Rinki with us. So Sanjida Apu, is there anything left to share with our speakers from you?
No, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sweety Apu, Jawaad Bhai, and Ayesha Appa, and also Promi for moderating this session beautifully. So hope to see you soon, inshallah, in the coming future. So take care, everyone, and goodbye.
So this session will definitely, you can get it on our official Facebook page of Brac University. So whenever you have time, you can go there and check it out, this session. Thank you so much, everybody. We'll be ending this session right here. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bye.